Hello and welcome back to my channel, everyone. It's your girl Messi Posh, and I'm here with another beautiful tutorial. So here in today's tutorial, we are going to be learning how to make this beautiful milkmaid corset dress with basque waistline. Okay, so here is the milkmaid part, and here is my robe, and this is the final like this is the outcome of what we are going to be learning how to make. So if this is what you love to learn how to make, I urge you to stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Okay, so here is the back of my dress, and you can see how beautiful this dress is. So I'm going to go ahead to give it a very beautiful press, and you will see how beautiful this dress is. So this dress is very easy to make. It's not difficult at all you need to do is to pay attention. Just ensure that you watch this video to the end. That's all you need. Just watch it to the end, and you're going to be able to draft this dress, this style perfectly. Okay, so without wasting much time and without talking too much, I am going to get my paper ready for us to start drafting. So I have my paper here on my table, and I am going to be marking my lines. So the beginning of this paper here is going to be serving as my shoulder line. So placing my tape on my shoulder line, I am going to be marking my chest line, my bust point line, my under bust line, my waistline, and the length of my basque. So that is what I'm going to be doing here. And as soon as I'm done marking the lines, I will roll them into a straight line. Then I'm also going to label them. So from my waist here, I am marking 7 inches. That is 7 inches below my waist. It is going to be for the basque. So you can do that as well. You can use this same 7 inches below your waist for your basque. You can use 7.5. You can even go as low as 8 inches, but note that I use 7 inches here. All right, so I'll roll the lines into a straight line as you see me do here, and I am going to label the lines accordingly. Okay, so I'm trying to clear my throat so that my voice can be better. Okay, so I went on to label as shoulder line, chest line, bust point line, under bust, waist, then the length. So now, without wasting much time, I proceeded to mark my shoulder divided by 2. That is my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I mark whatever I get on my shoulder line, then on my chest line as well, and that gave me a straight line that I just connected. Next, I am going to slope my shoulder here by 1 inch. Now, the neck width I am working with is 3 inches, okay, which is a standard neck width, and I proceeded to connect down to the 1 inch shoulder slope. Now, next, I am going to divide what I have here into 2. This is to be able to get the midpoint of the armhole line. Now, having marked on the midpoint, I came in by 0.5 inches, as you can see. Next, I am going to divide my round bust circumference, that is my round bust measurement, by 4. Whatever I get, I marked it on the chest line like this. Now, picking my curve ruler, I'm going to be connecting all the lines like this in form of curve, as you can see, and that is our front armhole curve. The next thing I'm going to do is to divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2. I'll mark it on the under bust line, on the waistline, down to the length of my basque. Okay, then I am going to come again on the bust point line and mark the same nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Then I picked my straight ruler and connected it into a straight line like this. Okay, so after I was done connecting into a straight line, the next thing I'm going to do is to go in to take my waist dart. Now I am using half and quarter of an inch, that is 0.75. You can also use half inch, is just okay as well, okay? But I'm just using half and quarter. If you like, you can as well use the same half and quarter I use, but remember, it's not really a standard. You can use half and quarter, you can use half inch, both are okay, all right? So I proceeded to connect the lines into a straight line. I use half and quarter on both sides, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect them up to the bust point line like this, okay? So I proceeded to connect it, as you can see. Then the next thing I'm going to do right now is to come down um 1 inch below the bust point line. This is to get my side dart. Now this side dart is determined by the difference between your front half length and your back half length. Now let me explain. If your front half length is 16 inches and your back half length is 15 inches, that is when you mark 1 inch there. But if the difference is 1.5 inches, you mark 1.5 inches. Do you get? Now from the chest line, I measure 2 inches up and I marked it. That is where I want my neckline to stop, okay? Now I repeated that same nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on that line, and you can see as I'm connecting into a straight line with my ruler to match up with the remaining straight line of my dart. Now here there is not going to be overbust contour because this is going to be a milkmaid on the corset part, so there won't be any underbust contour in there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to take all my measurements. Now I measured my bust circumference divided by 4 and marked, and I also measured my under bust circumference divided by 4 and marked. Then I replaced my dart, okay? You can see how I'm measuring the dart and replacing it. So I did same thing on the under bust, the waist. Then on the length, that is here, I marked my hip circumference divided by 4 and also replaced my dart intake there. So I'm going to connect all the lines into a straight line like this. I'm just going to connect them all together, all right? So I was done connecting the lines, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to come down here by half of an inch, okay? Then from this line here where I mark my measurement, I came in by 1.5 of an inch, okay? That is 1.5 inches. That is what I measured and marked there. Now I'll determine my bust bridge. Now you can use your exact bust line. You can use 1 inch above that bust line. We can also use 1 inch below the bust uh, line. So I am using 1 inch above the bust point line. That is where I mark my bust bridge. I don't know if you get me. 1 inch above my bust point line. Now I'm picking my curve ruler. I'm going to connect that bust bridge to one of the dart leg on the under bust. Okay, can you see the way I connected it? Okay, can you see it? So by so doing, you can see our center front, the corset part of our center front has formed. Now taking the same curve ruler from the other bust of the second that line to the 1.5 inch I measured inward, I connected again to form the second the front side of the corset cup, as you can see. Now if you want, you can slope here down by coming down by 0.5 inches here like this, okay? But I don't want mine to have that curve. I want it to be straight like that. I'm okay with that. Now I am going to determine how wide I want my neck to be. Remember, this is a Queen Anne neckline, right? You determine how wide you want it to be. If you want it to be 1 inch after this nipple to nipple point line, you can do that. If it's 2 inches you want, you can do that. If it's 1.5 inches, you can do that. But me, I'm using 1 inch because I don't want it to be too wide. Yes, I don't want it to be too wide, so I just went in 1 inch above 1 inch after the line. Okay, now in order to avoid gaping for my neckline, I came down half of an inch, then marked, and I'll connect it back to the rest of the shoulder slope. This helps to the neckline to relax very well on your neck and not, gaping at all. Now here I am going to come in by um half of an inch to eliminate pointedness around there. So I came in and measured half of an inch around here. So this will help to eliminate pointedness on that part. So that is it. As you can see, now I cut through the waist dart to close my side dart, and I'm going to tape it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to proceed to cut out the rest of the body. So please pay attention. Now you're not going to cut in into the cup. Please don't cut the dart on the cup. Okay, so you can see how I cut it. The dart on the cup is still there. I didn't cut through it. I didn't slit through it. Okay, I want our cup to be a whole like this, to be complete. There won't be any kind of contouring. There won't be any kind of overbust or underbust tightening, as you can see. So that's why we are not touching the cup. So you can see the cup is intact. It shouldn't be touched, okay, because we're going to be working on the cup later. Okay, so this is what we have, and this is my yoke, as you can see. So I'm just going to label this as yoke. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is to pick the cup, and I'm going to mark on the bust bridge there. Okay, I'm going to use arrow to indicate that this is our bust bridge, and the next thing I'm going to do is to get the paper for the back parts. So we're going to be working on this cup later. Okay, so let me get the paper for the back part. So never mind what happened here. My camera kind of, is it the capture it twice or the video repeated itself? I can't really tell, but never mind. Okay, so here is my paper for the back part, as you can see, and just as I did for the front, I am going to mark all my lines, and I am going to label all of them accordingly as well. Okay, so uh my half length for the back is 15 inches. My half length for the front is 16 inches. So that is the reason for the 1 inch I marked below the bust point line when I was drafting the front part. Do you remember? So here I went on to rule my lines, and I mistakenly marked the waistline, the half length for the front, which is 16 inches, instead of the one for the back, which is 15 inches. So that's why you see that I shaded the one of the lines there. Okay, I shaded one of the lines there to indicate to us that that line is not the supposed line. We are not working with that line. Okay, so I went on to label the lines, and I marked my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my shoulder line and on my chest line. Then I went on to also slope my shoulder by 1 inch. As you can see, I marked it there. Then I measured what I have remaining on the armhole line, mark on the midpoint. Now the neck width still remains 3 inches. Okay, then I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. After sloping my shoulder, I'll mark it on the chest line. Then I'm going to use my curve ruler to curve again to uh, connect to form our um, back armhole curve. All right, so you see I just did that. Now next I'm going to be getting my dart. So the same dart measurement we use for the front is what we use. I am using my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I mark it on the waistline, on the uh, length, that is the basque, the bust point line, and the chest line. Now never mind, we won't be using under bust for the back because there is no bust at the back. So hence the reason why I also shaded the under bust line. So the line that we're using for the back part here is shoulder line, chest line, bust point, waistline, and length. These are the lines that we are going to be working with for this back pattern. All right, so I marked the dart straight from the length to the chest line. Then I proceeded to mark my uh half and quarter of an inch. Okay, that is 0.75. So I decided to use the same thing I used for the front. So you can as well use half inch if that is okay with you. Go ahead and use that. But I'm just very okay with the 0.75 I am using. Okay, so I proceeded to connect them this way and towards the chest line, and you can see the dots for the back is formed. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to determine the shape of the neckline I want to work with. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to mark 2 inches for my neck depth. Okay, I marked 2 inches for my neck depth and I proceeded to connect it, as you can see. Now from there I'll mark another 2 inches. Okay, I marked another 2 inches from that 2 inches I marked initially. Then the next I'm going to do is to go in by 3 0.25. Okay, I went in by 3 1/4 of an inch. Okay, here, and I'm just going to connect it to give me that opening on the chest line of my back. Okay, so you can do well to style this back exactly the way you want it. It is not mandatory you use exactly what I'm using, but it's also good, it's also fine if you decide to use what I am using. It's also fine. Now I was done marking it, and the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and mark it on the bust point line. Then I mark my waist circumference divided by 4 on my waistline. Then I replace my 1.5 inch dart. Now next I mark my hip circumference divided by 4 on the length, and I measured and replaced my 1.5 inch dart, as you can see. Now it's time to get my ruler and connect the lines uh, uh, into a curved line actually. Then that is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm just connecting all the lines according to their curve. So here is what I have. Now I am going to come in half of an inch here again, like I did for the front, and curve it out to avoid pointedness around there. Now let me chip this in. Being that my half length for the back is 15 inches, I measured from that half 15 inches from exactly where I mark my waistline to 7 inches. I measured down 7 inches to get the same 7 inches from the waistline that I have on the front. I have the same thing at the back. And that is all for the drafting of the back. Sure, you can see I mentioned earlier it's not hard to cut, it's not difficult to draft. Can you see it? We are done with this. Now remember, this is the back part, right? So the zipper allowance will be we are going to be creating that zipper allowance while transferring to our main fabric. All right, so these are the patterns. As you can rightly see, these are the pattern after I was done cutting. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to uh take it to the next table where I will be transferring to my main fabric. So here I am on the second table, and I proceeded to transfer it on the crepe, black crepe fabric I'm working with. Now I went on to add my zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. After adding it, I came in 0.75 on this waist part to eliminate zipper bulge. That is, I cut out 0.75 around there. Can you see? Then on the side, I added 2 inches allowance for ease. Then here I added just 1.5 inches allowance, and here I added 0.75. Here I added 0.5 inches, and here I added quarter of an inch, and I cut my fabric into two for the back part. And here I have the front part. Okay, you can see the center and the side. I cut it on fold, as you can see. I added 0.5 inches here, then 0.75 on the hem. Now I cut this also on fold, two pieces, added 2 inches here, 0.75 here, and 0.5 inches here. All right, here is my yoke. I cut it out on fold, two pieces, added my allowance accordingly. Now here is my corset cup. I am yet to work on it. Okay, so it's time for us to work on it. I'm going to be showing you what we're going to do. So we're going to slash through this, and we're going to be spreading it on the main fabric. Now remember, we already have a midpoint line, so I marked 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on this side, thereby dividing it into two. All right, so I'm just going to connect it straight like this, and do the same thing on this other um line. Okay, so as to make this line very visible, and I repeated the same process here as well, as you can see. And at this point I label it 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're going to be slashing through it and spreading it on our main fabric. So it's very important we number them so that we won't make mistakes. All right, so I'll cut through them and get my fabric to slash it on it. So here I went on to slash them on my main fabric. As you can see, I slashed with 1.75, that is 1.5 and quarter, almost 2 inches. That is what I use for my slash. So the added 0.5 inches on the upper part. So the fuller the milkmaid, that is, the higher the slash, the spread, sorry, the higher the spread, the fuller the milkmaid. And I proceeded to also notch that point where we have our bust bridge. Okay, so if you spread with 3 inches, it's going to be fuller at the end of everything. Okay, so I will go on to cut out my lining piece, and I'm going to gum my estate to it, and it will be time for joining it. Thank you so much for staying to the end. See you some of that time. Bye.